Oh, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you. Pleasure to be here. Great day.
Yeah, it was a good day to drive down this weekend and everything else. You can see from behind. Just go ahead. Go ahead and make it full screen. Override us. For those people who aren't familiar with Aron's work, we're going to run a quick clip from one of his many YouTube videos, and you can remove us from the screen while we do it. Run it.
Big Bang. How was that created? Can you tell me that? Because if I understand you correctly, you're implying that if science can't tell you right now, today, exactly how that happened, then we may as well assume we'll never know. Might as well just forget everything we do know and stop trying to figure out anything more. We should just assume your conclusion.
I don't know if you guys were actually able to hear that. We weren't able to hear it in the studio. I'm assuming the audio went out. But in case you weren't, we can go ahead and put up a link to his YouTube channel where you can go watch any number of videos there. You've done so much great work, specifically enlightening people in common sense language with plain thought that almost anybody could grasp about the problems with creationist claims, etc. How did you get started doing that?
Well, how I got started in the evolution versus creationism argument has been a lifelong story. I remember when I was a little kid and I would ask questions of my babysitter or anybody else, how does anything happen? I mean, especially if it involves God, how does God transform molecules of wine into molecules of water?
Right.
How does it do this? And I would always be reprimanded for asking the question. I was told all kinds of crazy things about how I wasn't supposed to question their position, or I was just supposed to blindly accept. And I had been given, the advantage in the culture that I grew up in is that they don't indoctrinate children until they're what they consider the age of reason, at 8 years old. And so, by that time, one of my teachers had given me a book on dinosaurs that happened to include a phylogenetic tree. And looking at that, of course, I made sense of the relationships of things, and I was able to determine that humans belong definitely in the category of apes. And so when it was finally presented to me that this other book was supposed to be the absolute truth, my immediate response is, it doesn't even explain why we are apes.
Yeah.
Among other things. And so there was a problem accepting the mythology. I tried to interpret it a different way. I thought that, like the story about how Eve is the one who enlightens Adam as to the nature of civilization. This is mind you, as a little child, how I'm reading this, and I'm thinking about it's like in the Old West when men show up and they have guns and there's brawls and a lot of open drinking in the street, and then women show up and everything kind of calms down a little bit. And I'm thinking, so what you're going to do is you're going to tell a story to a group of people in the Middle East. And you're going to tell them that women brought them civilization and sanity, and this is a culture that doesn't believe that women are capable of anything, so it can't be anything you actually give them credit for. It has to be a bad thing that you blame them for, and then you can't even give them credit for the blame. You have to come up with, concoct this snake that gave them the idea,
right,
because snakes can figure these things out where mere women cannot.
Talking snakes,
It seemed to me that telling the story in this way might be the way of getting it past the prejudices of the time and then down through the ages. This, obviously I was still a theist. I was trying to rationalize or apologize to try to make sense out of the story. How could it be true even though it's not literally true?
Mm-hmm.
And eventually I encountered a whole other reality, which of course is that the story just wasn't true.